Hi everybody, it's Tristan and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, it's a different type of video. We're gonna do a little sit down chat debrief over one of the dirtiest, grimiest, most beautiful, iconic, stunning shows to ever grace our TV screens, in my humble opinion, Euphoria. If you've never seen this show, I don't know what you're doing here, but you're welcome to stay. But whether or not you've seen it, I know you've heard of it. This show has been such a cultural moment for the past 7 years. I checked my watch for the year, but it's been one of my favorite shows for a while because I'm a big fan of like really chaotic, really just like stunning television. Whether or not you actually like what goes on in Euphoria, you can't deny that visually it's incredible. Shows like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, American Horror Story, Bates Motel, what's another one? 13 Reasons Why, that one had me by the neck. For whatever reason, I'm a big fan of television that's really dark, really heavy, but also really beautiful and like chaotic. I don't know if you can really count American Horror Story as that because it's also super funny, but Euphoria is low-key in a league of its own, and I'm not going to give you an entire dissertation over the show right now, but I am going to give you my thoughts on this current season so far. We're in the midst of season 3. For better or for worse, I'm glad we're here. A little bit of closure for the girls because we've only been waiting 4 years. That's one thing about current TV that I really cannot stand for the life of me is The Walking Dead used to give me a season every single year and give me really cool story and really cool graphics, and then all of a sudden doing that is like a problem. And not just with Euphoria, just with any show, period. And Euphoria is a work of art. Like, arguably, you can take your time. I wish you'd take less time, but you can take your time. Some of these other shows, I'm like, what are you actually doing? Besides not getting your actors to come back, but I digress. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this, and I wanna start with a couple points that are just like blaring to me and that I cannot ignore. Labyrinth's music not being in this season is a noticeable atrocity. The amount of TikTok edits I have seen of people integrating his unreleased music or just his music in general over scenes from this show, yeah, it's making it more Euphoria. Granted, it looks like Euphoria, the vibe is Euphoria with the characters, but it's like, you know how you're out sometimes on a sunny day, but then like a nice breeze comes and it really just like, it makes the moment? That's Labyrinth's music to me with this show. Like, yeah, it's still a nice sunny day, but where's the breeze? Where's that like, I can't find it. And I don't really think that that's an unpopular opinion. I think that that's a pretty wide-ranging one. So Sam Livingston, whatever you did to screw up that collaboration with Labyrinth and make him want to dip out, I'm gonna need you to get it together. You might have been able to steal somebody else's creative vision, allegedly, for the show and then use it anyways without her knowledge, but I don't think you're doing that with Labyrinth. And Hans Zimmer, this is not a diss on you. You're making beautiful music. Some of these scenes are hitting. However, I need these moments to hit with a drop, like a bass drop, not a violin. You know what I'm saying? Another thing I want to touch on is Angus Cloud not being in this season is so sad. Just sucks. I know he's been referenced, he's still alive in the universe or whatever, but not having his presence intermixed with everything, it's noticeable and it's unfortunate. It's just sad. It sucks. That's a situation that can't necessarily be fixed, but Angus Cloud, I'm here to give you your flowers because you deserve them and you really made this show something special with your work within it. Item number 3 that I want to say, where is Ashtray? Probably dead, but why have we not brought him up? We brought up Fez and what happened to him after the raid, but why are we not touching on the biggest moment from the finale, like the most you know what I'm saying? Because I know what I'm saying. And I think it's a fair question. Are you just gonna sit there like dangle it for later? But like, why? Am I just to assume that he's dead, but you're not gonna like solidify that fact? I think we deserve it. Give me some clarity. Give me some closure. Anyways, those are my gripes with this current season so far. It's beautiful, it's a vibe, but like, now in my heart of hearts, I really just wanna touch on all the characters and give my opinion on like what the hell is going on with each of them. I'm gonna start off with Rue. First of all, girl, I think it's a miracle that you haven't wound up in jail or dead. So for that, I'm gonna give you a round of applause because the fact that you made it to season 3, given the years time stretch between them, I'm surprised at your current state. I can arguably say that I think you are better than you were in the first 2 seasons. Maybe not literally, maybe not situationally, but like your vibe overall seems to be better. You aren't under the safety of your mother's roof anymore and she's no longer putting up with your shit, which I fear is understandable. And I think it's a pretty good way to ride around the fact that the actors who played her sister and mom are not coming back for this season. They just disowned her, which I actually feel is pretty accurate. But at the end of the day, she does always end up with a roof over her head. The fact that she's actually like a grade A scammer is kind of a shock to me because before she was really bad at hiding things and she was really erratic, but now I'm like, you're getting the super religious family out in the desert to house you. And the person you owe a lot of money to didn't just string you up and sell you to people like she said she would. She might have you swallowing golf ball size oversized balloons of pharmaceuticals, but she could have done you way worse, I'm gonna be honest, and you've had some pretty good luck. I will say though, I think that luck is coming to an end because she's like, oh my god, I want to get away from Lori. I'm like, yeah, but then you went to the source. You went to the person that literally made Lori who she is. Not intentionally, you got wrapped up in a lot of bullshit, but like, duh, sorry girl. But now she's literally at the beck and call of a man who shot an apple off of her head. For fun, for vibes. Does God believe in you? Apparently he does, Rue. However, I do think we all need to start coming to terms with the fact that Alamo is probably a human trafficker, because where did Angel go? Not to rehab. I know she dropped her off at rehab, but that girl running the front counter, that lady's the manager of a gas station in the deep south. She is not a medical professional. I'm just saying the nail beds were enough for me to know that. And while we're talking about her, why not? The actor who plays Angel, that girl really brought the Euphoria vibes like into the moment with like a new character. I was buying everything she was selling. Incredible performance. I don't have a lot to say on her as a character because it's very just like chaos for the vibes and pushing the narrative of one of our main characters, but round of applause nonetheless. Next, I want to touch on Cassie and Nate. I'm gonna lump them together because they're getting married. How romantic, how cute. No, that dynamic is all over the place. That dynamic is a mess and a half. Nate to me is still obviously dealing with the ramifications of all the bullshit that his dad put him and his family through. Not to say that Nate was a saint. If that man has a halo, it was stolen. But I will say, like, his overall aura and the way that he deals with things, like, he's dealing with them way more calmly. And that to me, if nothing else, is just him kind of trying to save face, like keeping a calm external, because socially his name is on thin ice. And where Cassie comes into play with that, I actually feel like she knows that. And so the amount of power that she low-key exudes in certain situations that she never did back in the first 2 seasons, I think that's like kind of why she's doing that, why she feels like she can. Because her saying straight up to Nate's face, like, well, if you can't afford $50,000 flowers, then maybe you just can't afford a wedding, gagged me to the moon and back again. Because first of all, put that man in his place. And second of all, put that man in his place. Because I'm here to say, I don't think a single person did, ever. And I also think having Cassie, a very beautiful woman, is good for his overall image in society, which is crazy because her actions in this season are starting to contradict that entire point. Like her wanting to be an OF creator to get her own money and get her way, like I think she's overstepping in the strength that she's like achieved, if that makes sense. Because their whole vibe to me is like nuclear family vibes, but make it deteriorate. And that whole concept is actually kind of also shown in their home. Like it's a very big house, it's a very pretty house from a distance. But when you get the close-up shots of like the baseboards and shit, like that is chipped paint, girl. So to me, their house is reflecting their relationship. Don't look too close and it looks good. The ramifications of her actions are going to be Nate's investors and friends finding out what she's doing, being very weirded out by it, which they already are, which will then lead to Nate not closing his deals and you having no money and having no circle that you've kind of built your life around. It just feels like overcompensation city for both of them, to be honest. Next, I want to touch on Cal Jacobs, Nate's dad. That man is a mess. But one thing that I really love is that they incorporated Eric Dane's disease into his character as to like give it meaning and purpose, like in those scenes. Like they made him an alcoholic. Eric Dane is obviously not an alcoholic. He was suffering from a degenerative disease, but they were able to really write it in and make it work with the story, which is something that I'm going to give more claps to. And may that man rest in peace. This show has lost some really good talent. Next, I want to touch on Lexi. I really don't have a lot to say about her, to be honest. That girl is probably the only one who's just going through the motions and good things are happening to her. So congratulations, Lexi. I fear you're the best off. That's really all I have to say. One thing that I am really liking this season is how they're tying in all the stories, because before it was all like voiceover by Rue, and it still is, but she was obviously around these people all the time, so that's what kind of tied in the story. But this time around, they have her couch surfing on all of her old friends' couches to tie in the stories together, and you know, I'm rocking with that. Ooh, while I'm going on a little tangent, I want to touch on Faye. I'm honestly really loving Faye. That girl has given me a couple good laughs. Whenever they're crossing the border coming back into the United States and the border control guy was like, did you have a good time? And she goes, no. Speak your truth, bitch. I know you're full of drugs. I can't say she's like an insane focal point, but she is like a very grounding presence in this season of Euphoria for me. Like, I don't know. I just really like to see her. I'm glad they kept her around and I'm glad she has a purpose? She's a vibe nonetheless. Next, I'm gonna need to touch on the queen of all queens, Maddie. If there's one character that I think has had a lot of actual character development, it is this girl. She went from being like super bold, reactive, crazy, like what the hell ever, to being like very smart. Not to say that she wasn't smart before, but she was running on all fumes at all times, like not fully thinking, because I think being chaotic served her better back in the first 2 seasons. But she's caught on quick to the fact that that kind of attitude and that kind of way of doing things is not gonna serve her in a world that that like is not high school. She has made things happen for herself and her business, for her family. She had smart, very innovative ideas, to be fair. And shocker, shocker, the older people didn't want to listen to her, and she just was like, okay, I'm gonna just like get back in my lane and do my thing. But now we know that she would have been really, really rich and really successful had she just followed her own instincts. But we need some good plot. Another way I've seen this manifesting in the show is her interaction with Cassie when they meet at the pool. Because she knows Cassie is there for her own angle, whether or not it's to make herself feel less guilty for all the bullshit with Nate, or as we find out, it's actually to get Maddie to manage her. Cassie is there for her own uplifting, and Maddie knows that, shows up and stunts. Granted, Maddie, like, if she was really unbothered, she wouldn't have needed to show up like that. She would have shown up like more like, like she wouldn't have worn a fur coat to the pool type of thing. Vibe, but you wouldn't have. But she really walked up there, let Cassie do all of her talking, and then just like went into her brain, filtered it all, and acted accordingly. That's something that old Maddie wouldn't have done. That's something that old Maddie would have beat her up for. She already has. And with any luck now, Maddie's gonna get a good dollar from that, and maybe Cassie will end up going bankroll crazy on OF, and Nate will just have to deal with the fact that no investor is going to invest in his retirement home. I don't know. But either way, in this situation, I fear Maddie's gonna do just fine. Probably. And last but not least, we're gonna talk about the doll herself, Jules. Now listen, I know a lot of people love to hate her. Is she the reason that Rue is all that money in debt? Low key, but also, Rue, why did you get the suitcase? Why did you agree to that? Jules was just looking out for you, arguably. Did she do it in a sneaky snake way? Yeah. But did you also lie to her a million times over about being sober? Yeah. You're still doing it. Rue really pulled out the I'm just smoking a little bit of weed line. Keep it coming, I'm gonna need it every season now. This is probably the last season, but just in case, I have to throw it out there. Jules, to me though, this season is exuding some type of power. Whether or not it's power she actually feels within herself, or it's power that somebody else bestowed upon her and she's living in, I'm not quite sure. I think we'll figure that out as we go. But I can tell you, I think she's feeling pretty powerful when she is propped up in that chair with her little glass of whatever. Rue was dumbstruck. She was like, who is this bitch? She's that bitch. She's the vibe of the show. The makeup on Hunter Schafer on her, that's some of the most recognizable Euphoria, and you know that's true. There's a whole theory going around that Nate is secretly funding her life, which is why he's low-key broke, and because they have some kind of like tie to each other at some point. I do not think that's the case, because I don't think Nate actually liked her or was that infatuated by her. He was using her to save his family's position and just threatened her. Because I think the whole time during those message exchanges between the both of them, like he knew it was her, but she didn't know it was him. At least the way I interpreted it. All of that to say though, I don't think Jules is as like upper echelon and like doing good as people think, because low-key, if she was, I don't think she would invite Rue back into her life like that. Like maybe Rue was some of the best cheeks she'd ever gotten, but if you were really like healed and moved on and doing your own thing and doing really good with your boyfriend who has a husband, I think you would have kicked her to the curb. Her whole vibe in that apartment though is giving very like desolate and very lonely, and I wonder if that's like purposeful to like give a representation of how she's feeling on the inside, because I would think someone like Jules at this point would have like, I don't know, just the most colorful, crazy apartment ever. Like you'd see a lot of character and a lot of personality, and this one just does not give that at all. I am just gonna go ahead and say though that we haven't seen her enough this season. We didn't see her in the first episode at all. We saw her at like the end of the second episode, and she didn't say too much. So I'm really hoping that I have more to say on Jules as the season progresses, because she is one of the dopest characters in the show. At least one of the most entertaining to watch. Like that girl is chaotic. You know what I just noticed is we have not seen Dominic Fike. Were they together at the end of the last season? I got through the first season on my rewatch and then like halfway through the second, so I haven't finished the second season before the third one started, and now I've just been like, I'm gonna finish it because I want to see the play. So yeah, I'd say Jules is like a major vibe always, but she's very ominous this season too. Like what is going on with you? Like, are you happy? Are you extremely lonely? Is everything that I'm seeing like a facade? Because low-key it's that way for everybody else, and it's serving them in different ways except for Rue. That girl's just honestly who she is. But I'm looking forward to see how it all goes. The trailer for next week's episode, Cassie and Nate's wedding. Lexi looks at Cassie and goes, "Are you okay?" And Cassie goes with like tears in her eyes, "Of course, it's my wedding day." That's the new I've never ever been happier. A lie. Anyways, y'all, that's all I have for you in this video today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll come back for the third episode. Maybe I'll keep sharing my opinions on what's going on. This was fun to do. Maybe I'll do it with other TV shows, music, something. I don't know. Tell me the things that you really like, and maybe I'll give it like a reaction and a debrief. But for now, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.
Okay. Bye.